Yes. So I did title it the wrong thing.
You did.
Okay. That's why I was confused.
I don't know why it won't let me start my video.
What was that, Joe?
Okay. Bernie, you tell me how long you want to give people. And then
Let's wait about 2 minutes. And so, Catherine, we'll flash up the agenda. I'll go through the roll call and all of that. I have my script from Gina, which I can speed through.
Yep.
George! You are home.
Could I ask folks that aren't speaking to mute their microphones, just because I think there's a lot of dogs and cats that are being fed.
Yeah. That was my.
You have to leave yours off, so.
I know that. That was
You have
my.
to leave yours on, I should say.
They need to go away. Well, we haven't started recording yet. We haven't officially started.
No. Okay.
I'm just checking my phone to make sure no one's like texting me or anything like that. The one problem is I can't okay. Oh, there's the mute all. I can mute all people while I'm looking at my screen share.
Yeah, you have great powers, Catherine. I bet you don't even.
I don't know. We've got
how powerful you are.
Got Max.
Yep, we have Joe, we have Max, Steve Sack, Mike Matthews, Henry Millward, Christine Feely. Okay, Catherine, how about we start?
Okay, hold on one second. I just want to get these. See, the problem is I have to take the notes as well as, but
Catherine,
at least.
if you like, I can try to take notes, because if you're going to be running the WebEx, that's going to get confusing.
Yeah, I'm just taking attendance right now.
I actually am supposed
Oh, you have
to
to take roll call, right?
I'm supposed to call that out, actually. So, and I think we can also save the chat. I hope, if there is a chat.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
So I'm going to hit the record button, and Bernie, you take it away, okay?
Okay.
Hold on.
Recording.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this October 6th meeting of the Clean Energy Commission of West Hartford. I'm Bernie Pelletier, and I'm chair of the commission. As you can obviously tell, we're having this meeting via WebEx, and there are a couple rules we ask. Confusing. When you are speaking, just so that people who are watching on TV or watching this subsequently know who you are, please identify yourself. And even though you've done it once, please do it every time that you end up speaking. This is being recorded. It's also being broadcast on Comcast Channel 5 Frontier TV channel 6098. And also you can watch on www.whctv.org. And I would like to take a roll call of the commissioners. So I'll call your name. If you're here, please say present, and I'll mark you as present. And if you're not here, don't say present. Max de Boisson?
Present.
Joseph Campanella? I think I heard a muffled cry.
Present.
Present. David Mello? I think that was a no. Chris Nelson?
Present.
Thank you. Catherine Deviney?
Present.
Robert Palmer?
No.
And James Capella? Okay, I think that's a no. Okay, I'd like to just dive right into the agenda. We've completed our roll call. We do have a quorum to proceed with this meeting. Catherine had sent out the minutes, which were a little bit longer than normal. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes or recommendation to change them?
I'll move to approve. This is Max.
All in favor?
Hello, Aye. what now?
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Minutes are approved at 7:06. Catherine, we've received a couple communications and a couple things to talk about before we get into the main meat of this meeting. You had received communication from a West Hartford resident who was interested in getting ground-mounted solar, and which is prohibited in a lot of areas of West Hartford, and in the area that she lives, it's prohibited. And so she asked for our help in approaching the town council to have those minutes reviewed. So we have drafted this letter to the mayor and the town council that in essence cites the statute that prohibits the ground mount and asks that they take up a review of that. Catherine, I think I might have added an example of the particular ground mount situation that she was looking at. I don't know if we want to leave that in there or take that out. It's actually a very interesting device. It's called the Smart Flower. But I'm okay either way.
Yeah, I apologize. It looks like the version I'm showing on my screen is in track changes mode.
Okay.
I think we had agreed to proceed, the commissioners had kind of voted by email to proceed with this letter without the example.
That's my recollection too.
Yeah, so we're going to take out that link to the Smart Flower so that, they don't have to visit a link, but also so that they don't have any visual images going into this decision. We are simply asking them to approve, re-examining the ordinance that banned ground-mounted solar in 2016.
So I think this is already approved. So this is just for people's reference. Anybody want to make any comments? Chris, Max, Joe?
Don't forget, if you want to comment, please unmute yourself.
Hello, does this work?
Yes, Dave, we can hear you.
Okay, well, I'm just learning to do this. I'm not very good at doing it, so I'll just stand by and you can hear me. That's great.
Dave Mello is here. Congratulations, Dave, and you're doing fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So Bernie will sign this, and we will make sure it gets distributed to the mayor and the town council and the town manager, Matt Hart. And then we will wait to hear.
Great. Thank you very much. And Catherine, we got a piece of good news from our mayor today.
Yes, I am actually, so I was going to share something with you guys. Is it on here?
Yeah,
Yep. So tomorrow is, I don't know whether anyone knows, but tomorrow is the 5th annual Energy Efficiency Day. A little lesser known than Earth Day, but nonetheless. So Mayor Cantor has signed an e-proclamation, and she made a video with some talking points that I supplied her in conjunction with some services about what residents can do and where they can get help to be more energy efficient. So I'm going to play you her video, and then it's going to be disseminated through the town website. And Renee, the town's PR specialist, is going to do some outreach tomorrow to various media streams, and anything that you all would like to do to disseminate this or post it to Facebook pages. I saw Catherine runs on there, so we can also get the word out that way. This is for tomorrow.
She already sent an email out.
let's see. I don't think the audio is coming through.
Oh,
Can't hear anything.
Still no volume.
On the lower left, there's an icon that looks like a little microphone in the lower left of that screen.
I think the whole problem was I muted myself while I was trying to play the video. Hold on.
You're overzealous in your compliance.
I know. I was trying to mute out the background noises, and I forgot that when I mute myself, it mutes everybody. Okay. When I mute everybody, it mutes myself. Let's try this again. Sorry, guys.
No,
Yes?
no sound.
No sound.
Well, I'm sure
Still
we
no
can.
sound.
No sound.
Oh, that's too bad.
However, I think the proclamation, which was attached to
Yes.
your
Yeah.
invitation, is quite extensive.
I can read the, sorry, okay. So, Bernie, you want to read the proclamation or you want me to read it?
Sure. Whereas energy efficiency continues to be the cheapest, quickest, and cleanest way to meet energy needs and reduce utility bills for residential, business, and industrial customers, and whereas smarter energy use reduces the amount of electricity we need to power our lives, which helps to avoid power plant emissions that can harm our health, pollute our air, and warm our climate, and whereas implementing energy efficiency and other clean energy policies and programs can help boost economic opportunities, create jobs, and make our homes and workplaces healthier, safer, and more comfortable. And whereas for cities and states tackling harmful pollution, energy efficiency can get them about halfway toward the climate goal. That's quite a statistic there. And whereas for cities and states addressing equity and environmental justice, energy efficiency can help minority or low to middle income families who may bear the largest burdens. And whereas together, the residents of West Hartford can continue to contribute to sustainability efforts by learning about energy efficiency, practicing smarter energy use in their daily lives, and participating in Energize CT home energy solutions. Parenthetically, it's free until the end of the year. Connecticut Energy Assistance, Operation Fuel, or other local utility programs, and whereas a nationwide network of energy efficiency groups and partners has designated the first Wednesday in October as the 5th National Energy Efficiency Day. Now therefore be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby proclaim October 7th, 2020 as Energy Efficiency Day in the town of West Hartford, and urge all residents support our clean energy goals and move towards more energy efficiency now and in the future. Signed, Mayor Cantor. That's quite wonderful, isn't it?
And in her video announcement, she went on to tell people about the Home Energy Solutions Program and how they could sign up, and that it was free for a limited time. And she also shared some information for those in need, how to get in touch with social services and the community renewal team if they are in need of energy assistance and energy efficiency programs.
And I'll just add that it's a relatively new focus for the state of Connecticut, and certainly for this commission, to think about the needs of sort of from an environmental justice standpoint and an equity standpoint. But I think it's really important, and I'm really glad that the mayor is on board with that.
Okay. So back to the agenda.
Yes, indeed. So, Catherine, so we're going to dive into this large document. I think I am guilty always of hoping to do too much. But if I could ask you for 1 minute to talk about what you've been up to for the last month and why perhaps we haven't gotten as far as we wanted in terms of working on the COVID and the school systems and the filters and the air ventilation systems. Just maybe give what's turning out to be quite a few folks a sense of how important some of the stuff you've been working on is.
Well, it's just been busy with the schools reopening, not only from an organizational and a logistics standpoint, but behind the scenes and mostly at night, we've been doing ventilation testing and cleaning and of all the HVAC in the schools. No matter how hard you try, filters and air handlers get gunked up and dirty and things go out of whack with old buildings. So it's really been a very labor intensive process, and we're an ongoing one as we do a lot of the cleaning that needs to happen to keep and extend the schedules and do everything that needs to happen to keep the schools reopen. I know some people on the commission don't have kids, so I don't know whether the news has reached them that West Hartford decided to delay and continue with the hybrid model. They were evaluating whether to go back to school full-time in mid-October, but West Hartford is a district that has decided to delay that for a while, and we'll stick with the hybrid model.
Yeah, and so whereas from my narrow standpoint as the chair of this commission, I would have liked to direct 100% of Catherine's time and all of our time to getting this plan done. You're obviously prioritizing the right things, because there are 16 schools of different ages in West Hartford, and this virus is something that, to the extent that we can do our best with the ventilation systems and the filter systems, that's where we ought to be putting our efforts, and that's what you've been doing. And I commend you for whatever work you've gotten done on this plan since the last time that we met.
Well, we're continuing to plug away. Actually, it's kind of exciting. Some comments have been coming in, which we've been trying to incorporate into the plan. Is the background noise coming from my house disturbing a lot of people?
No,
Yeah, okay.
No.
Just making sure.
as long as you're not in pain, Catherine, we're okay with it.
There are lots of, my 14-year-old son is making chili for dinner. There's lots of doors banging and pots banging downstairs. Sorry. So where was I? I'm sorry. So we have been plugging away at the plan. There have been lots of comments coming in. I have a spreadsheet tracking over 50 different comments. Just today, we got 2 letters of support in, one from Grassroots West Hartford and one from the Unified, I forget who, but we have some hard copy letters of support for what we're trying to do. We've had some questions and that we're trying to address, and we have some issues that have been hanging over the plan. We had Joel Gordes, actually, am I pronouncing that right? Who was actually nice enough to go through the plan in detail and catch in a track changes Word document and catch a lot of typos as well as content changes. So that was nice. So some of the, some changes we've made to the plan, just outright typos and little minor tweaks. But we have been going through trying to address some of the more substantive issues like we discussed last time with some content changes. And so what I'm going to attempt to do, and again, this is a work in progress, and is just go through a little bit and skip over some of the initial stuff, which I think we're in agreement with, but maybe get to some of the later slides in this plan to
Catherine, one point of clarification. So what the group on this WebEx is looking at is actually a couple clicks past what has been posted on the town website, right?
yes.
Yes. So for those on the call who actually did their homework, it's very similar, but as Catherine said, some progress has been made. So this will become the new version as soon as we can post it on the website, the new draft version as soon as we can post it.
But we are happy to take comments on the old version too, because this didn't make it onto the website. So most of the comments we're receiving are on the old plan, which is fine. So can everyone see? Yes.
Looks good, Catherine.
Okay.
Is it possible to get that emailed out to us, this copy, so we can look at it?
Right now?
Late after the meeting?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks.
Because I know all of you can't see the screen, right?
I don't see anybody on the phone, so I think everybody's on the computer and can potentially see this. So I hope so. In particular, I love this picture, so I hope they can see that.
Okay. So we have not changed our kind of vision statement at all. We will get a few slides back. We added some language around this, which I'll explain later. There is one new piece of information, a new slide in here which we can decide whether we want to include a qualifying statement like this in the plan, or maybe just talk about this as we present the plan. But I felt like we were constantly explaining ourselves, so I wanted to get this thought down on paper. And the idea is that this is an energy plan. It
Can
was
you make it full screen so we can read it as you're talking?
So if you want to do slideshow, Catherine, is that what you mean, Steve?
Even you don't have to go slideshow. Even in this presentation, just it's only maybe 2/3 of the page. I don't know if you could open it up on.
Yeah, I can't. I have to go either slideshow or zoom in because I have to get you guys out of the way there. Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Great.
Okay. So just the idea that we wanted to present is that this is an energy plan. It was written by the town's Energy Commission, which is a group of volunteer residents and town staff. Now, we did struggle, and this is true, with many questions as we wrote this plan, whether we wanted to write an energy plan or something larger. And then one of the other large ideas that came up in our last meeting was, where does the boundary of the plan lie? And should we include other sectors? And then one of the sticking points that's come up has always been whether we want to be strict in our definitions of clean versus renewable energy. So I added this kind of qualifying language in that we struggled with many of these questions, but ultimately we decided just to leave it as it is. And that our main objectives were to update the 2009 plan and to outline a simple framework and actions to push us forward. And that we believe we've done that. We believe there's enough kind of meat, if you will, in the energy realm to warrant this separate document, but that at a future time, we would welcome the opportunity to include the content of this plan into a broader effort. So whether we include a slide like this in the beginning or the end or somewhere, I don't care. It's up to you guys. I just wanted to lay this out there because I think it's been discussed many times, and as we present the plan, I think people will have these questions. It seems to constantly come up. Well, why is this an energy plan? Why isn't there a greenhouse gas inventory? Why isn't recycling in here? Why are we looking at food waste? So I welcome your thoughts on this.
I think it's a good idea to have something along these lines. I've got a few thoughts about sort of reframing it a little bit, but when you send it around, I'll try and compile some comments.
Absolutely.
I'm with Max on this. I think we proceeded sort of instinctively and naturally from our charter as the Clean Energy Commission, but you're right, these questions have come up over and over again, and I think something, maybe we call it the scope of the plan, and just call out where we drew our boundaries and how we might fit in with those other things, all of which I think are important.
Okay.
So I'm with Max.
Okay, we'll wait for feedback on this then, but we'll be in agreement that something like this might belong in the plan. So this is virtually unchanged, this slide. The only thing I highlighted here was I didn't know if we wanted to take out the kind of quoted phrases, not back to normal, but back to better, since they have become a little bit politicized, but that's up to you all.
have they be, I like those phrases and I was unaware that somebody adopted them as a theme.
I've heard Biden use the frame
Oh,
build back to better, but
okay.
it's, if we like them, we leave them in.
Well, does it,
Yeah, I would say that it's a little close to Biden's campaign language, which feels out of place.
well, among the last things I want.
And I'll have you know, I put that in before I heard him speak.
You should be getting a fee from the campaign. Like, hey, man.
It's not rocket science, but I did put that in before that. I think I heard it in one of a Sustainable Connecticut training that I was on.
The last thing I want to do is get wrapped up in anybody thinking this is presidential politics. So, Max, if you can identify this as a Biden thing, let's take it out.
I can look it up. I think their phrase is "build back better" or something like that.
Other commissioners, Joe, Dave, Chris,
If no one recognizes it, then we can leave it in, but. Okay. Moving on. On this screen, we had a suggestion to take out the word local and just say as a community, we have the power to affect change. Is that neither here nor there? Opinions?
This is Joe. I would say that makes sense.
God,
You know, local community is probably my neighborhood, which doesn't preclude it from being part of this, but I think we're really talking about the whole town.
Okay, so take it out, yes, just as a community.
take it out.
Okay. Bernie has updated the the energy by the numbers benchmark with the 2019 data. Bernie, this reminds me that I can't find in your spreadsheet I need you to help me get the information for Appendix 1, the 2019 numbers, but that's something we can do on the side.
I was going to say the same thing. I know where that is.
Okay.
So for people who don't remember the last time you saw these numbers, they were 2017. And we've got 2 more years of utility data and an updated brand list.
Did Christine make a comment in the chat? I can't see I have the chat up to the side. Bernie, can you monitor the chat?
I think I can, if I can find the chat. Oh, so Christine Feely is saying there's no going back. Let's go forward better. Is that enough? So the suggestion is there's no going back. Let's go forward better.
Who else is there? I hear some background noise.
And Sam Dynowski is just expressing appreciation for you, Catherine, and for the mayor. Everybody trying to work together. So I think Christine has some suggested verbiage that is not exactly duplicated by any candidate yet. If we hurry up and get this done.
What was added to this screen, I'm not sure who's making this. can we tell who's not muted?
I'm not muted. So I will,
Okay. I think we got it. Yeah, the other thing we added to this slide. Oh, I think I'm getting some feedback on my, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is Joe. It sounds like the background is coming from you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Catherine.
I know, it sounds like there's some feedback on my line. Huh. Let me know if it gets really bad and you can't hear me.
Hey, Dave Mello, you might want to mute yourself as well if possible.
Oh, okay, sure. Says mute.
So down oh, that helped a lot, yeah. So the thing that we've changed on this slide is just adding a statement down the bottom that today in Connecticut, a lot of the electricity still comes from natural gas and nuclear. Before we were focused on the fossil fuel use, but hadn't identified that electricity still needs to have some work done. Okay. Is everyone still here?
we are raptly watching you, Catherine.
Okay.
We're all here.
Okay.
Don't be nervous, but there's about 100 eyes on you.
Well, no, I'm having trouble. There we are. Okay. Sorry. It's taking me a while to navigate this. So Bernie has compiled the 2019 numbers, which then we've added to this slide to show that based on Bernie's, the benchmark that's been constructed with PACE's assistance and the information from the grand list and the data from our local utilities, West Hartford's energy use has only gone up about 1%. Which, Bernie, do you have any information? Is that better than a lot of the other towns you're seeing in the 100% project, or about the same?
Typically we've only done towns once, so West Hartford and Simsbury are rare, and that we've done them a few times. So my own thought is that this is pretty good, because even though the census hasn't been updated, I do think, as I look around at the number of houses and the number of complexes, building complexes that are up, I think West Hartford's gotten bigger. So I think we probably, when they finally do the census again, they'll see that we have more activity here, and the fact that we're keeping our energy use essentially flat is an accomplishment. So we have real growth and flat energy use. That says efficiency.
Okay, so not much else has changed here, except we cleaned up some of the charts and made the solar chart residential only. Now, this slide is still a little bit of a work in progress. And we can talk about some of these things right now. One of the things I've tried to change in this slide is I've changed it to just 100% by 2050. It used to say 100% clean energy by 2050. This is the discussion we're going to have right now is around the whether we want to restrict ourselves to clean renewable energy, or more broadly clean energy, or how we want to frame that idea. So I took a stab right below that at saying West Hartford aspires for our entire community to use 100% clean renewable energy by 2050. Bernie always says, you know, I took Bernie's tack and said, explained that our choice of words is intentional. And that this is a vision that we hope to achieve and we will work towards, but we realize that this is a evolving path and that path may be entwined with other carbon neutral or clean energy strategies.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do we define clean in the plan? And what is there anything other than nuclear you mean by clean but not renewable?
We do not define it.
I think we should. Otherwise, it's a super ambiguous term.
Or so maybe we should go back to the super ambiguous term.
No. I'm saying it's ambiguous now. So.
What's that?
I said clean is ambiguous, so we should either define it we are the Clean Energy Commission, so I feel like we should define clean energy in our plan.
Yep.
And I assume we mean zero greenhouse gas emissions.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I was taking it to mean more along the lines of the state's plan to be carbon neutral. But
that's
up to you guys.
my thinking, and maybe we have to study it a little bit, but is very much that the greenhouse gas emissions, along with other emissions, are either zero or there's a path to zero toxic emissions. So that would be SOx and NOx and CO2 and CH4. Those are not clean. So, and renewable, I think, is self-explanatory. We just have to be, ultimately we might have a lot of fossil fuels in the ground, but they're not renewable. We can't do them forever. But
yeah. So if we were to just say clean, so the question was asked, do we need to specify renewable? And so my question is there anything other than nuclear that would fit our definition of clean, but not the definition of renewable?
so one of the things on the spectrum, and I think Steve Sack is still on, would be things like biofuel, where you take waste oils, cooking oils, etc., and as well as waste from, say, soy meal and that sort of thing, and turn it into biofuels. The fact that it would be, I think that's on the path to clean, and I think
And maybe fuel cells.
Even I think fuel cells are class 1 renewable.
Are they?
Well, that's is it renewable or does the government call it renewable? Those are two different questions. It could go deep in the weeds. I think there's plenty of biofuels that one could reasonably call renewable, and then we could also imagine biofuels that aren't. And yeah, fuel cells are the same. If you run them off natural gas, it's not renewable, but it's still pretty clean.
Sorry. So is the general feeling, rather than debate this here, is the general feeling that right after we make this statement, we need to define clean? And we want to go back to the word just clean energy or renewable, clean renewable?
I would say opinion is to keep it as clean, right? We're the Clean Energy Task Force, Commission. And so, and your first slide that you added about the plan, reframe that as a preface to the plan and include in that, defining what is clean energy in the context of this plan. And then from then on, we can just talk about clean energy sources.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to define what clean means.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do think, even though renewable is not in our commission title, you know, if there's a clean source of fuel that would last for 1 year, it's not where I want to move us to. So somehow the sustainability aspect of this has to get drafted into this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we can talk about wanting to prioritize renewables in our clean energy mix. But it sounds like we're open to things that aren't renewables. So in our 100% plan, maybe we don't need to use the word renewable.
Then that's why it was before, so we can go back to that. Okay.
So what are we saying? We'll go back to clean, and we're going to do some work defining that, either in an appendix or in that slide that you inserted the third one in. Max, can you take a crack at that clean definition, since
Sure.
since you're a particularly clean guy?
I'd like to think so. Took a shower today.
Okay. Okay, so we'll change that. So the other changes we made here were to streamline the graph with just the words reduce and produce, which I think makes it look a little cleaner. So we're going to reduce and then we're going to produce, whether it's clean or clean renewable, we will define that. So I'm still working on the language, and anyone's welcome to help. The language on the right-hand side, there's a suggested language that goes way off this page, but we'll come back to that one later. But the idea is actually, no, I'm sorry, on the right-hand side of this slide that's on the screen right now, that you can't see because I have the participants list there. Let's move that. Some changes that we made was including some language around behavior change, because we felt there were some comments that behavior change wasn't emphasized as a way to reduce energy use. We kind of jumped straight to installing energy efficiency measures. And we may want to think about including some behavior change or simply using less energy in our sector discussions a little bit later. And then the other thing that we de-emphasized on this slide was the investing in electric-only solutions. We frame it now in terms of the fact that some experts believe that we might have to strategically electrify certain end uses if we're going to achieve significant reductions in energy use, but not directly saying that we want to push people into electric vehicles and electric heat pumps. So those were that's the kind of the reframing that's going on this slide. It's not entirely done yet.
Just noting there's a sentence fragment there at the beginning.
Oh yeah, this is not finalized at all. There's stuff going way off the page that you can't even see because I'm in presentation mode. Oh God, come on back. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, Catherine, I think that the thrust of the changes that we made are just to be sort of less directive and more open. So as long as it meets our sort of definition of clean and renewable, however we work that in, you know, we're in. So if fuel cells can get there, great. If biofuels can get there, great. heat pumps can get there, great. So we're not going to put the screws on in this plan. We're just basically saying this is the criterion that we want, and as long as they can meet it, we're kind of open.
Yes.
A more ecumenical approach.
One thing here on the right side, probably this third paragraph down, you talk about moving away from direct use of fossil fuels. We must strategically electrify certain end uses like buildings, heating, and cooling. I believe the cooling is basically all done by electrification anyways.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Steve.
So I don't know if you want to leave that in or take it out.
No, we should take it out.
Yeah.
Good catch.
And this is not finalized, so it may just be better to wait and see some final language on this, but if anyone has any comments, feel free to read through the language as it is. We'll clean this up before we post it after this meeting. I'll try and make them full sentences. But again, realize that it's a working draft.
The other comment at the end.
I had to stop working on it to log on to this meeting. So
at the end of the paragraph too, you talk about the reliable infrastructure and capacity is available to support these changes. EV chargers, modernization of the grid. Should you also throw in there the production of renewable electricity is there to meet demand? I don't know if you want to throw that in there, and storage capacity too for electricity. We need to install.
yes,
I don't know if that's too detailed or not to put in there.
maybe I should just take out the EG and leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, you're exactly right. I mean, the whole grid mod agenda is, green production, distributed energy resources, enabled by storage. So.
Yeah, I think we were envisioning that all in modernization of the grid, but
Okay, I didn't know if that's what you're doing with the modernization of the grid, just upgrading the grid system and also the production or everything all under that.
Yeah, I think the grid mod is if you know what grid mod is, it includes those things. If you're just a person reading this, you wouldn't know those things. So maybe we have to bust it out, explain it a little bit more.
Or get rid of it because you really kind of say to ensure the reliable infrastructure and capacity available to support these changes. Could just end it there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I'll make a commercial announcement that on October 16th, PACE is hosting Marissa Gillette, who's the chair of PURA, and she is the one that is presiding over the modernized grid. So anybody can dial in for 3 hours or any part of 3 hours. Let me know. It's free, and she's a very interesting speaker.
Okay, nothing about the approach has changed, really. This is all still the same. In our residential slide, we are going to be doing the same thing, taking out some of the information down there near the red language, to make sure that we're not making any false claims, and we took out some information on this page that we just didn't information on. But we still have the general format here with a little bit of description of what the sector looks like in West Hartford and some of the options. And then we have this same slides. We haven't changed much of this information. This was pretty general. What we did want to include on this slide, Max, if you can get me a picture of your heat pump and make that quote down there, say whatever you want to say. We thought we'd include a little testimonial from West Hartford residents on some of these slides.
Sure. I emailed a few pics to Bernie, but
Okay.
if you send this in PowerPoint format, I can crop and touch it up and whatever.
Absolutely. Okay.
Sorry, Max, I should have sent them to Catherine. I didn't realize it. It was just to me.
That's okay. Those were not private photos.
That's okay. These are our residential indicators. These are readily available from Energize Connecticut. I have not been able to get in touch with social services. They've been swamped. I met with them on some other stuff, but we never made it this far into the energy plan. But I would still like to include some kind of metric that this is a placeholder on the right here, some kind of metric that they feel is important to tracking energy project progress in the residential sector. If we can't, I think I should be able to, it's just a matter of timing. Their caseload should be lightening up since it's the end of renter's rebate and some other programs that they've been working on.
Catherine, if you can make that happen, that's great. If it looks like it's going to drag out, it's entirely possible. A couple of these things maybe we should think about as appendices that we can take out of the main body and just tack them on at the end as they become available. Because I think to some extent this would be, I hope this is a living document. So for example, these charts, 2019 will, well, who knows, 2020 being what it is, who knows whether we'll get updates or not. But I'd like to think that we would keep some of this fresh. Not like the other document was more or less like the Magna Carta or the Declaration of Independence. It was written and it didn't have to be updated. This one's got some currency to it.
Yeah, but this one actually is ending up being a little bit longer than we thought it would be. So I would be interested also in just people's general feeling about whether it needs to be pared down some more or whether some of these slides, like the indicators, as Bernie said, should be moved to the back. Or whether some of the slides should be separated and the information become larger or simpler. So going through, we haven't gotten much time to work on these ones, but there was some question, so I'll raise it here. There was a comment about, instead of calling it the commercial sector, calling it CNI, commercial and industrial, wrapped up together. We were assuming and saying that industrial was part of commercial, but one of the comments was to actually title it commercial and industrial. And that is how Eversource incentives programs are titled, the CNI programs.
I like that.
I like that. I mean, we do have an industrial sector. I mean, I can attest to that.
Okay, so we'll we'll make those changes throughout, changing it to CNI, which I think is more of an industry standard anyway. Okay. CNI goals. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Well, I thought about it. We did have on this residential slide under goals, under 2022 goals on the right-hand side in the green box, we did have originally, oh, I'm missing a bullet point there, but we did have at least a 6% drop in residential energy use. That is coming from the fact that we said we need to reduce energy use at least 2 or 3% every year to reach a 50% reduction in overall use by 2050. But we also at the same point said a drop in residential use and a shift towards more electricity, a shift away from natural gas and fuel oil to electricity. So I took that out just to let not be so directive about increasing energy, about increasing electricity use. CNI goals, not much has changed. This little testimonial is on me to provide. CNI indicators, these ones are okay. Is it all right that we framed the benchmark for the town in gigawatt hours? And when I report municipal energy use, I report it in MMBTUs. Are people okay with that?
I think it's fine.
And I'll be able to add fiscal year 20 there as well, which also saw a reduction. Transportation, so I haven't gotten, well, I'm still working on this. You can see some repetitive language in there. This will be reorganized. The idea here I've listened to a few transportation seminars recently. Actually, that's some news I'll share in the any other business section. But there is I felt like our transportation discussion, especially just on this page, was solely focused on electric vehicles, was more focused on vehicles. And I think there needs to be more thought to going beyond vehicles and other modes of transportation and options. So I wanted to, I know that, yeah, so this will be updated a little bit. Is everyone on board with that?
On board with basically saying public transportation, walking, biking, even given how we're conducting this meeting, I think changing the way we do business to.
Yes, and I think we actually have some of that in our action items list, but it didn't show up as an emphasis here in this little discussion. So I was just going to change the discussion a little to reflect that, because we did have more than just electric vehicles, electric school buses, EV chargers, and that kind of thing. We do have more action items in that slide, but it wasn't showing up as much in the discussion.
Catherine, when you say GPS, you just mean people knowing where they're going? Is that route planning?
Yes, yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
Good.
Maybe we'll take out some of those and leave it at other strategy. Okay. We need Matt Masunas said he would provide, or is this you, Bernie? Which one are you doing? Either Matt Masunas or Bernie is gonna, or we could get Julia to put something in here about her EV. I don't know who else drives a electric.
Did we also change the picture from a electric
Yeah.
pump to an electric car or something?
Yes. Steve, the testimonial will have a picture. I was hoping to get a little picture of the person too, but whatever it is fine. The actual person's vehicle, and then their name. Yes,
Okay.
that will be updated.
Catherine, I'll do that.
Okay.
I drive my Jeep to the store all the time. I don't know what's wrong with that.
It's good in the wintertime, isn't it, Max?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Actually, I also see Chris Feely, if she's still on, she could also, I think she's got a Nissan. No, she's off. So I'll do the Bolt. If you get a better offer, you can bump me.
I have municipal fuel use for 2016 and 2017. I have, we're trying to get it for 2018 and 19 out of the Public Works Department and their vendor reporting. So
Is that gas and diesel gallons combined?
it will be, I will be able to have a stacked bar chart with both.
Okay. Otherwise, I was going to say maybe revert to MMBTU like the other municipal chart.
This chart is meaningless. These are my MMBTU numbers from my municipal energy use. Yeah, it will be changed to gallons of gas, and we have diesel and yeah.
And Catherine, the EV chart, I think you're using the EV Club, but we can use the.
Oh, yes, I haven't updated that yet. Sorry, Bernie, for your numbers.
Yep.
So that needs to be updated too. I have those numbers too. Yes, Bernie's discovered that he thinks the EV Club of Connecticut's EV numbers are inflated. So we are going to go with some more reliable numbers from a macro they've developed to look at the VIN numbers.
We can actually count them on the grand list. So it's battery electric vehicles like a Tesla, like a Bolt, and plug-in hybrids like a Volt or a Prius Prime or something like that. So we can actually now count them one by one. And I think their EV Club of Connecticut is probably right in Connecticut. It's just, I think DMV would only give them their data in two different chunks, and they had to make an assumption that how they put them next to each other. So my guess is somebody else has more. I think it's probably right in Connecticut, but wrong by town.
The public EV chargers, you've got listed 8 of them in 2019.
Yes.
It seems low because I think there's like one in front of Maximum Beverage in West Hartford Center. I mean Bishop's Corner. I think there's like 4 or 5 Tesla charging stations behind Red Robin.
Yeah, so that we're counting as one.
Sorry, go ahead.
So when there are multiple stations, multiple chargers, we're counting that as one station.
Okay.
And the information that I'm getting is coming from those websites. So if the owner has not registered their station on this website, then it won't be counted.
Can we change the name then to like charging locations or something like that?
Yes.
Chargers to me says 8 cars can be charged in West Hartford at one time.
Yes.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah, so public EV
Yes.
charging stations, I think, is a better way.
Good
Cool.
point. Yes, we can
And
change
then
that.
let's get some more.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I went backwards. Sorry about that. Clean energy. I have not gotten to, so this is very much the same as the June one. So I don't know if anyone has any additional comments here, or we'll just wait. I haven't finalized this. We haven't been through this with another round since June. Again, I think some of this will rely on how we frame the definition of clean energy, on what we say in this slide. And then the last time we had a discussion about being able to claim whether municipal electricity use was 100% renewable or not, based on whether we owned RECs or not. So we will have to have, we'll have to pay close attention to the wording of how we make any claims in here, or sidestep the issue, depending on what we want to do. Then not much has changed here. Someone's gonna give me a picture of solar panels. Oh, Bernie, I thought you were doing solar panels and Matt was doing his car.
I think I may have sent it to you.
Yes, you did solar panels. Okay, so I'll get Matt to do his car.
I can call Matt.
Yeah. And then the other thing we're tracking here is the number of municipal solar projects that we've done. Not making any claims to being powered by them. So that's one of the slides there on the right-hand side. And obviously this slide needs to be reorganized. We did clean up the language on some of these action items, but I would encourage everyone to read these over and see what you think about what's on the list for the next couple of years, or what's next. You know, we can't do everything, but especially on the left-hand side, would be the projects or policies or things that we would be actively working on in the next few years as a commission, potentially joint with other commissions. But these are the things that you're really excited about, that you want to put some time and effort into. So I would encourage everyone, if you do nothing else, maybe take a look at this slide and see if this reflects what kind of we want the commission's agendas to look like once we finally get this plan off the agenda. And these things will be the next item agenda.
And actually, Catherine, I think even if, to your exact point, I think this slide is kind of our marching orders for 2021. So even if we are still wrestling with the words, you know, a month from now, this is kind of, I think we should start. I hope the next time we have a meeting, we do less wordsmithing and more talking about one or more of these particular actions. This is actually what we want to do. So I think I'm just agreeing with you emphatically.
And then we're going to update, Bernie's going to give me the information to update that. We've just included this appendix because we thought people might be interested in it. If I move the thing, you will see that we get about, and then,
Catherine, did they actually tear down that incinerator chimney?
it is gone. Yeah, that's a vintage photo right there. That's kind of why I put it in. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I haven't been down there lately.
Yeah, that is gone. We're going to have some photo credits just because I stole a lot of photos from from around town. And then we'll have some resources. And we can either, we can just list a few, or we can organize them, whatever people want by sector. Although then we have to repeat a few. Anyway, there we go. So that's it for today, for today's efforts.
So Catherine, I think when Steve said, can we get a hold of this particular version?
Yep.
You can send that around, and we can hit you up with some more comments.
We can. I will send it to the group as a PowerPoint document. It's rather large, but that way you can even make edits in it if you like and send it back to me.
And maybe if folks make edits directly, we can highlight whatever we do, or be very explicit or something, since there's not really track changes we can do.
Yeah, there's not track changes.
There's not track changes in PowerPoint. Yes, you'll have to use like a yellow highlighter or red text or something. Let me know what you did. And then I'll also have IT post it on the town's website. We'll update the June 16th version with this one. Of course, we have the June 16th version, so we can always go backwards if we like. So we'll get that updated as well.
And Catherine, has Matt Hart, anybody besides, say, you within the halls of 50 South Main Street seen this?
No, I don't think so, unless they've looked at the website.
Okay.
I have not. Yeah.
I think maybe even if we don't get it totally done, then one of these, I think Matt Hart has expressed a desire to see it. I think so.
Yeah, I think Matt would like to see it after we're done with it. After the commission it feels like it's at a final draft stage. Was what he indicated to me.
Yeah. And Catherine Bruns is trying to recruit from the Clean Energy Commission members to work on her waste and recycling plan. So any of you who feel like you've become expert in writing plans, you can go work for the other, Catherine with a K, and she'll. Kidding aside, I do think that there should be another module on waste and recycling.
This is Catherine with a K piping in, and I absolutely agree. And I've talked with Catherine Devaney about this, so it's definitely something that I've been thinking about and trying to figure out how to plan it. So I appreciate seeing this plan and talking with Catherine outside of these meetings. But
yeah, I have heard the notion of having a sustainability plan, which might meld these things. I think for now, if we create them as modules, so we at least get this stuff down, and then in the future, maybe we can work on melding them seamlessly into a sustainability plan. But for now, I think there's enough work in each of our little foxholes we'll get this done. Good. Catherine, are you still being bombarded? Catherine with the C, are you still being pulled into the COVID response, or are you anticipate having any less diversion of your resource into away from this plan?
No, well, little things pop up day to day. So before we leave this plan, one thing I just wanted to ask the group was, is this about a high level question about whether this is the right length and level of detail. I know in the beginning we went to slides because we wanted to be able to present clearly and a condensed plan. And it's sort of evolved into something a little bit more like a plan, even though it's still on slides. So is there any feeling that we need to go backwards and strip out some of the language that was put in? For example, I mean, and I'm just speaking aloud here, but, you know, I mean, we don't need, for example, all the discussion on the left. Because we do frame it initially on a slide like this, but it would be a much, much shorter discussion. So
My
or we could,
would
yeah,
be,
go ahead.
and not to preclude other points of view at all, but Samantha Dynowski gave me the opportunity to present to a Sierra Club group, and I did not reproduce most of these pages. I would take a chunk out of these pages, or I'd take a graphic out of these pages, because it is a lot. If you have an hour, slot to present, you don't want to use this base document to do that, because you'll just glaze people over even more than I usually do. However, I think if we had an executive summary and potentially some, presentational decks. I mean, what I'm trying to say is I think that these words, by and large, are important. And this used to be a 60-page Word document or something along those lines. So it's a lot shorter and more succinct now. So my own thought is to leave this document and then have maybe an executive summary, and then maybe have a deck that we would use in different circumstances.
I mean, we're definitely doing a few different things here, and one of them is laying out our goals and our plan. And then there's a lot of it that's just sort of talking about these things and talking about what we did. And I mean, we could just separate it into two sections. First section is like, this is our goals, this is our plan. And then if you want all the extra info, the next section talks about, goes into more detail on those aspects.
Thought.
Okay. I'm having trouble envisioning that, but I'm happy to maybe plow along like this, and then if we want to kind of think about what it might look like under that scenario, I kind of like that. Or we can just pick and choose, like this I think is a plan slide. So maybe it's like Bernie said, if we just reorganize this slides, if we just wanted to show someone the goals, we could just pull out those slides.
Yeah.
So maybe we can slice and dice what we have based on what the audience is.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Max. Certainly, if that old saw about having your elevator speech ready, it'd have to be a pretty big elevator to present this. I don't, even the World Trade Center, I don't think would have given me enough time, but I still think this has value. I think there's a lot of content. It is readable, and it, Catherine, it's visually, at least to me, really appealing. You've managed to take it and make it look attractive. And so it may be possible to reorganize it though. But let's get our thoughts where they need to be, and then.
Okay. Okay. So are we done with this? We go back to the agenda?
I think this is really, really good. And Catherine, you are starting to get some comments. So we've received lots of comments even before this from all sorts of residents, some of which we've included, some of which we haven't. But I think it's been pretty well, as well shopped around to various audiences as we can do, given the situation that we're in.
Yeah, and we'll see, Bernie, as soon as we get it to a point where we can share it with Matt Hart, then we'll, and the, he would like to share it with the, one of the town council's subcommittees. So then, they might have some input on whether they want to go through another formal public comment period. We've kind of done our own outreach and informal, but maybe a public comment period would be more far-reaching, an official one. Yeah.
It might, more people might pay heed or not. I don't know. It's writing down Matthews.
So do we move? I have another business item if we want to close out the energy plan discussion, and I don't know whether we can then also open it up for any public items.
Yep, let's close this out unless anybody has anything to add. Okay, Catherine?
Can I get in here for a moment?
Sure.
Okay, two items. One of them is that on the charging stations,
This is Dave Mello, right?
Dave, this is Dave, yeah.
Yep.
On the charging stations, I think it would be much better to call them charging locations. Well, the location doesn't tell you how many stations or how many gas pipes there are or anything, because the owners of them may actually add more charging to that location. So if there's only 8 locations, there may be tomorrow more actual charging things there. So and get away from the confusion. And the second one is there's a chart there that has I don't know which one it was, but the chart on the left had a 3-letter designator, CNG or C something or other. I had no idea what that meant. If this document is going to be read by somebody somewhere just before that, one should explain what that word means, which one we're talking about.
A chart. CNG. Dave, we'll have to figure out which one that was. We don't want to confuse anyone. This one, CCF? I don't know whether...
You're saying there's one called CCS? Yeah, where's that?
Was it this one? The natural gas use?
No.
Which says millions of CCF?
No. The whole screen is filled up with a chart on the left and a chart on the right. And they're line charts. Line graphs, I mean. What was it? Go back one? No. Oh, yeah, well, Nope, that's got a name on it. No, that's not it. It looks like those, so it's, no, this, CNI. What's a CNI?
Oh,
Commercial and industrial indicators. We'll write that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's, maybe it was clear from the previous. Takes a lot of space.
Yep.
Okay, those are only my two comments.
Okay.
I agree with your sentiment, though. I just saw somebody write in an email, instead of NIMBY, N-I-M-B-Y, they wrote N-I-M-G-O, I think, which is, as near as I can figure what they were trying to say, is not in my term of office. But they didn't explain it, so I just said NIM2.
So one other exciting piece of news that I have is on October 20, this is still tentative, but on October 20th, we may have an electric school bus visiting the town hall parking lot. This is going to be organized in conjunction with Live Green Connecticut, Daphne Dixon down in Fairfield, who does the electric school bus toolkit. And we actually were lucky enough. So Mike DiToronto, who's in our public works department and is one of our fleet managers, has been attending some of Daphne's modules. Matt Masunas, the chair of the Conservation and Environment Committee, who many of you guys know from his work at, in energy, and also he used to be part of our commission and at Connecticut Green Bank, right? Anyway, he has attended all the modules too and is trying to get the Conservation and Environment Commission excited about electric vehicles from, and especially school buses from air quality and a health perspective. Anyway, Daphne and I are working together to try and organize in the town hall lot an electric school bus visit. She will help coordinate invitations to our town officials and decision makers, as well as other neighboring towns. They're doing a similar, so people would be allowed on the bus following COVID protocols. They could touch and see the bus, you know, and even potentially go for a drive around the block. They're doing a similar event down in Bridgeport, and she asked me if we could use one of our lots up here. So keep your fingers crossed. But like I said, we finally, I think, gotten West Harp, the fleet managers involved. They're kind of pushing forward a little bit. And I did hear also that West Hartford Transportation attended one of Daphne's sessions too, because in the past I haven't had much luck engaging the people who work in that department. I think they're still a little wary of how they interact, you know, and they didn't really want to help organize this event because they felt like it was in conflict with their existing contract with First Student. But, you know, First Student and all the vendors will be invited to this showcase as well. And I did hear recently, I guess I didn't know from Daphne, that there are now even mandates in place about electric school buses by 2030, or maybe state goals. I don't know whether they're mandates or just state goals.
Yeah, I was unfamiliar with that too. So that's good news, Catherine.
Yeah. So anyway, more news to come, but you guys are all invited on October 20th. The bus will be there all day. And the good news is also that evening is also a Board of Education meeting. So maybe some commissioners will be excited to come a little early and stop by and visit the electric school bus. So I'll send out some more information on that. The bus is coming from Canada, a Lion electric school bus.
And can they use our charger? I think that was one of the requirements, that they had to be a charging station, because they have I think they have maybe 150 miles of range. It's not a ton of range, so they're probably going to want to charge up while they're here.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for my news.
Great. Any other news?
One thought, I don't know if anybody else has been following the development of the Gastro Park down in the New Park area, but I've been eagerly awaiting it. And they're going to soft open this week, just the outside area, and it makes me wonder about the indoor area, which they're still building out and getting, construction and permits and all that jazz wrapped up. But I don't know if that's somebody we want to try and engage with and just make sure that as they're making decisions about their built space, that they're doing it efficiently.
It's on, what did you say, on New Park?
So it's on that street that comes off of New Park, just across from the CT Fast Track station on New Park. There's a sort of commercial plaza in there, and there's an old auto body shop that they bought. They got the town ordinances changed a couple of years ago to allow them to do this. So they got this auto body shop, and they've sort of revamped the area around it and built a sort of picnic table area. And then they'll have food trucks that park there at lunchtime and dinner time on certain days. And then on the inside, there's going to be a bar and bathrooms and seating and that kind of thing.
Great.
It's also right next to the Trout Brook Trail.
Oh, I think I know where that is.
Mm-hmm. So you can take the bus or a bicycle to get there.
Good. And Sam posted a link in the chat to, I think, the state. The DEEP website that talks about the requirement for 30%. Although I don't see the 30%, but this is where whatever it is came from, I think.
30% what?
Of electric school.
That. Oh, we're going back to the school buses.
I'm sorry, I'm doubling back from gastropub to electric school buses. And sorry about that.
Yeah, so to Max's point, yeah, I mean, I think this highlights the broader issue that this commission has been talking about for a long time is, and I know Joe's talked about this in the past, is how do we get notified and get in front of these larger development that are happening in town? Can planning and zoning notify us? We've asked and they don't. There's I think it started with the housing development across from the Stop and Shop. We randomly hear about things and insert ourselves into the process. But in the new energy plan, one of the action items is to work with planning and zoning and the building department, on policy or how we encourage energy efficiency in new construction. I don't think we've figured that out. So, Max, if we want to insert ourselves into this one, I think it's got to be another ad hoc. I can try and find out. I don't know who the developer is. I can go get the name. We can write in the letter. But again, I think I've recently been looking at. There are some towns. I was looking at Brookline, Massachusetts, just because a girl I played lacrosse with in college went there, and Brookline has a fossil fuel ban for new construction.
That was taken out.
It was?
Yeah, that was. I think there was some lawsuit and it got removed.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not suggesting we go down that road, but there are policies and other things that that could be in place, if this commission wants to push those kind of agenda items with town council. We can't adopt stretch codes. That's not allowed yet.
I have, you give me a second here on the electric school buses. The issue to me with the electric school buses is the cost to buy those buses. I'm not quite sure the town would be okay in a substantial increase in cost for transportation services if First Student, let's say, were to go out and buy all new electric buses.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think, this is a purely educational event. It's a new technology. I think people just want to see what it's all about. And this would kick off the educational process of, is this a good thing? How much does it cost? What's required? What's not? What are the maintenance costs? This is by no means are we saying, push, make First Student convert their whole fleet.
Yeah, but what First Student could do is change over to a biodiesel blend or 100% biodiesel. That would, 100% biodiesel would cost a few bucks per bus. Running a B20 would really cost them no money and have a significant reduction in greenhouse gas emissions for no money to the town. So I don't know if this is something that this commission would talk to the town about maybe implementing.
Who's speaking? Could they say their name, please?
Oh, Steve Sack.
Steve, I think that's an interesting idea. I mean, I'm aware that New York and other jurisdictions have done things like that. I think it's a little bit arcane as to how. I don't even know who to talk to, other than I know way back when I did reach out to corporate, not as part of this commission, but on another front, to like DATCO and different school bus companies about electric school buses, but didn't get very far that way either. But I think biodiesel is a good bridge fuel. I think I agree with Catherine that switching them over entirely would be, at this point, very expensive. I also think it's crazy not to start to pay attention to the technology, because I think the batteries will come down, and I think a lot of things will change over the next few years.
And with the maintenance savings over the lifetime of the bus, they are not more expensive.
I think maybe, though, the timing might, with this, if this event does happen, the timing might be good if it creates a little buzz with the Board of Ed, that if this commission, just like we're doing with the ground mount solar, to the town council, asking them to re-examine the issue, this commission could consider, if you choose, to write a letter to the Board of Ed. I would suggest the Board of Ed, because West Hartford Transportation, who I have approached, Steve and I've mentioned, kind of what are we doing on fuel efficiency? Do you track how much fuel you use? Let's just say the people who run West Hartford Transportation do not have energy at the top of their minds, which is fine because that's not their job. But I think we could write a letter of encouragement to the Board of Ed, and the timing might be right with this electric school bus visit, to push kind of both topics, just to say that school buses are a good target, whether it's new electric or, biodiesel in existing buses. I do know that most of First Students' buses, by contract, they replaced a whole bunch. So I don't know if we have any of the old 2009 huge diesel emitters anymore. The contract provided for newer vehicles, and West Hartford Transportation made a point of telling me that just recently. So So they're thinking there's not a lot to be done, that they're in good shape. So I think you have to be a little sensitive, but I'm sure there's more they can do.
Yeah, but I think even opening up a line of communication would be good. And you're right, Catherine. If they just did a whole bunch of stuff, we don't want to come in here and say, okay, now you got to do this. That's not gonna get us invited back. But I think to have educational sessions, educational demonstrations, I think is a good way to go.
Wow, holy fuck.
Did we, do we want me to try and find out the developer on this gastro park? I can try and.
Yeah. I think it's the folks that own the Iron and Grain food truck. So you can, because it's maybe I wasn't clear. It's a food truck park.
Oh.
And so there's the indoor building, that I'm curious about, and then there's also the question of, are they going to be running multiple generators all day? And are there ways we can connect them with the green bank to solarize those hookups for the trucks or something like that? They may have already planned all that. I haven't reached out to them, but I've been sort of watching it for the last few years as out of interest, just because I like food trucks, and so now they're finally coming around.
I don't know. I'll throw this out there, but there was a big scam of this company called DC Solar that, I don't know if any of you guys heard of that. They were making portable solar power systems. They worked. It was just a bit of a money scam, but it went belly up. And they're having a huge auction of all of these portable solar power packs, let's call them, or something, throughout the country. If anybody wants information on them, I think they're going to be auctioning them off very shortly here across the country. And you could move them mobile from site to site to site to get mobile solar power wherever you needed by a simple trailer towed behind a pickup truck.
Wow.
That's a pretty cool thing. Do you have an address for that?
Not offhand, but I will get it to you and email you the website address that's holding the auction for. There's a lot of these units throughout the country. I will send it to you, Bernie.
All right. Yeah, so it's DC Solar. That's the name of the company. There's I guess it's a little confusing because I just Googled and all solar is DC. So.
Yeah, DC. Yeah, if you Google probably DC Solar auction, you may come up with it. Let me look right now.
Online auctions. Yeah. Yeah, I think I got it.
Yeah, it's in like 6 days, actually. Did you get it? It's like bidindustrial.com.
Yeah, Industrial. Yeah, 6 days, 8 hours, 11 minutes, and 25 seconds.
That was one of the things that took out United Bank to sell out to People's Bank, was their investment into that.
All right. Anyone else who's on the phone, if you have any comments or would like to introduce yourself to the group, feel free to unmute and maybe I can share, right?
Oh, yeah.
If there's an opportunity, I would love to comment.
Hi, Sam.
Hi there. I'm Sam Janowski from Sierra Club, Connecticut, also West Hartford resident. Just want to thank this commission for all the work on the clean energy plan and the work you've done to hear comments and revise and continue to adapt the plan. We, as an organization, endorse the direction you're going and really excited about it. Regarding the gastro park, you can also walk there, Max. You don't have to just bike. And I walk the Trout Brook Trail often and carry bags with me to do cleanup. So, unfortunately, there's tends to be a lot of litter along the way, and just encourage folks to pick up as you go. A little news maybe you can use on electric buses, and the VW grant, the VW settlement funds that Connecticut has received because Volkswagen cheated on their emissions technology. Those are available for things like electric school buses, and there's not been a big uptake on those funds for electric vehicles. So I'm really excited to hear how many West Hartford participants there have been in these forums, and hopefully when the next round comes around, that can really address the issue that Steve raised of upfront costs, can be invested in and can really reduce the cost up front of purchasing electric school buses. And then as Max noted, like the overall maintenance and operation costs of those buses is much lower than a fossil fuel vehicle. So the two combined, I hope we can bring some electric school buses into West Hartford. It's not just good for the climate, it's for children's growing lungs. The reduction of PM 2.5 is really important, and exposure from school buses is really problematic for young children. That was it. Just want to thank you and provide that information, and look forward to continuing the discussion.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, and I'm hoping that since we got West Hartford Transportation engaged and attended one of Daphne's sessions, that they are starting to understand that some of the funding that's available, and that we can work in partnership with their existing vendors, and that per student should be at the table too. I think maybe part of the reason they were holding at arm's length is they thought this was, in competition rather than a cooperative effort with existing partners.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. If it's still the kind of public section of this, my name is Mike Matthews. I'm a brand new resident of West Hartford, and I reached out to both Catherines and Bernie just to see how I could help. And I took a look at the clean energy plan, and I'm very impressed. And I'm actually transitioning this week out of the DC Department of Energy and Environment, where we have a few more people and a lofty 100% clean electricity goal, and we're agonizing over a lot of the stuff that you're talking about right now, right? So renewable versus clean, what is a tier 1 renewable source, what is an SREC value to the city and everything else. So this is all fantastic stuff, and sounds like everybody's well on their way to knocking it out. I kind of specialize in outreach around clean energy projects. That'll be my new role and my new position with a public relations firm here in West Hartford. So happy to do any sort of outreach, happy to help in any way that I can if anybody needs help with any events or anything else like that. But I'm just here silent for the last couple hours just to listen to everyone and introduce myself. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And Mike, I think one of the things I said I was going to do was introduce you to Sam Danowski, and maybe I don't have to do that since she's right next to you on the WebEx screen there. Sam is the chapter chair for the Sierra Club and does a lot of research, outreach, I should say. So, all
I met Mike while walking my dog 2 weeks ago, and I said, I know just who you need to be talking with. So I think this is fortuitous for everyone.
There you go. Oh, great.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine.
Okay, all. I think we've done it. Thank you very much. Hey, Catherine, I have to say you are an excellent WebEx driver.
Yeah, that's my first time. I wasn't a little shaky moving everything around.
Well,
But at least they let me borrow a login. So now in the future, I think we've been constrained, as you know, at the town side by the number of WebEx logins they have, primarily because they don't share them. So I was like, we should just have a communal one. I need to borrow one. So we didn't have to reschedule. Yeah.
Seriously, on that point, it's been very hard. It's been frustrating for Catherine, for me, and I'm sure for everybody that's on this call, because it's hard to schedule and we have to reschedule. So if indeed, Catherine, you are the possessor of this new WebEx login and we can use that maybe we can get back to some sort of systematic meeting schedule, because that would be helpful for us all. It's tough when you're dependent on other people who don't answer to us.
So this is Joe, and I was wondering why things may have changed. I don't know why my video camera won't work, but I'm suspecting that it might be. Is this a new system, this WebEx?
It is not new.
No, I mean, did we use this last time?
Yes, we did.
No.
And so you're saying
That's some kind of driver problem then, probably. I apologize for not being able to be seen, but
I did see you. Didn't we see you briefly?
no, I think
No, I didn't see Joe's face.
no, the video just didn't work at all. I can't get it connected. I've tried everything. So thank you all for doing your hard work and your comments. I enjoyed the meeting and look forward to the next one.
All right, let me just click on you, Joe. Yeah, it doesn't. No. Nope, I can have a private chat with you, but I can't turn on your camera. Well, maybe we can practice. I know with Zoom, we do a lot of practicing.
I try to Zoom tomorrow, and if it works, then it would be maybe this software. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, I think Dave Mello got on, so that's good, because he had, I think, had struggled before to get onto WebEx. So one comes on and one falls off.
Yeah, I got on, but I haven't figured out how to get the video yet. So I'll try.
Okay, guys. Not hearing any other business, I take a motion to close the meeting. End the meeting.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
Catherine, you have some chili to eat, I think.
Yes, I do.
Thank you all very much. Have a nice night.
Good night.